Hi everyone, my name is Kayla from Quiet Bodies Pilates, and we are going through our fourth and not necessarily final chunk of beginner reformer exercises. These exercises are great to help introduce you to being a little bit more upright on the reformer and adding a little bit more challenge and some good stretches to finish off a session. We're going to start off with one of my favorites. It's called the Mermaid. I'm only going to do it on one side, so if you are following along with me, just do it on the second side, just make sure you get it done. So we're gonna sit in a Z stance, and I have one spring on my reformer, so one red spring. You're gonna place your hand onto the foot bar slightly forward of the shoulder joint, and you could absolutely go a little bit heavier on this spring tension if you wanted to become more of a lat stretch, a lat strengthening situation and less of a mobility exercise. We're gonna lift the arm up towards the ceiling. We're gonna start to push the carriage out, and we're arcing our body around an imaginary beach ball. You're gonna see that you're gonna wanna do this with the hip, but we're gonna try to keep that hip reaching down towards the reformer. Then we're gonna roll up, and then you're gonna take a hold of your shoulder block. Mine has this handle, but you can just grab the post or grab the back end, and you're gonna pull yourself into a stretch. So we lift the arm up, press that carriage out, close that carriage, and pull. Okay, let's just take that one last time, but you could definitely do more than 3. I love doing this after I've done like a more challenging exercise. So that's your Mermaid. Obviously you want to take it on the second side. Now we're going to do an exercise called the long stretch, which is the first plank that you'll likely learn on the reformer. It's not necessarily a beginner exercise. It's challenging, but it's simple. I'm going to teach it to you 2 different ways. So the first way is the classical way. I'm going to go ahead and put 2 full tension springs onto my reformer, and then I'm going to take a sticky mat. My headrest is up to its full position, and I'm going to place my sticky mat onto the headrest so my feet don't slip. If you don't have a sticky mat, you could also wear sticky socks, or you can do the second version that I'm going to teach you. I'm going to place my hands onto the foot bar. Safety-wise, you want to make sure you never pull back on your foot bar, especially when your hands are going on it, if you have a foot bar that doesn't lock into place. Then I'm going to step one foot up onto my sticky pad, right where my headrest starts to incline up, and then my other foot is going to join it. Now you'll see from the side that my shoulders are beyond my foot bar, and that's what we're looking for, and my carriage is completely closed. I'm gonna push the carriage out and pull the carriage back in. Push the carriage out and pull back in. I'm returning to the stopper every single time. This could be done on your knees, but it gets a little bit trickier for you to not let your butt pop that way. So we're trying to push the carriage out, pull it back in. Okay, now if you do not have a sticky mat, or if you just feel a little bit nervous about that, here's your second option. I've taken a spring off, and you could go a little lighter here. 2 springs might feel a little heavy at first. I'm gonna place my feet now up against my shoulder block so I know that they're not gonna slip around. I'm gonna keep my shoulders directly over top of the bar. I'm gonna do a prep first. I'm gonna push my knees out, and I'm gonna let my hips come down. Squeeze your glutes so your body stays strong in this position, and then we push the carriage out and pull the carriage in. Now I'm not trying to close into the stopper. I'm just pushing out with straight arms as far as I can, and then stopping when my shoulders are stacked over top of my wrists. Okay, to progress this, we're gonna get really stiff through the legs. We're gonna lift the knees off, straighten the knees, push the backs of the knees up towards the ceiling, and then the same thing, push the carriage out, pull back in, stack the shoulders over the bar. Okay, I'm trying to keep my thumbs to the same side as my fingers, and let's just do that one last time. Then once you're done, you lower those knees down and close the carriage. You can give your wrists a bit of a circle. Our wrists are usually the biggest complaint point in learning how to plank on the reformer. So what you're gonna always wanna watch out for is that you're kind of bringing your arms or your hands forward over top of the foot bar as opposed to bringing them on the inside, which puts more pressure into your hands. We're gonna take the spring tension to 2 full tension springs again, or 2 red springs. We're gonna not pull back on the foot bar, we're gonna come up to stand. This is a stretch called the Elephant. So my hands are placed on the foot bar and I'm gonna round my back, puffing up my t-shirt towards the ceiling, and I'm gonna shift my shoulders so they're stacked over top of the bar. And then I'm gonna push the carriage out with my legs and pull back in. You could lift the toes to intensify the stretch. And you could also do this in a flat back, so it feels kind of like a downward dog. Okay. Sometimes it's hard to get the mechanics. I'm gonna go back into a round back here. So a cue that I find really helpful is if I'm wearing socks, I think about pushing my socks away and back in. Or if I'm not wearing socks, I think about pushing my toenails away and back in. All right, and then we're gonna bring the knees down. All right, then we're gonna wrap up with what's called the single thigh stretch. I'm gonna go to a red spring and a blue spring, and I'm gonna step off to one side of my reformer. I'm gonna place my foot up against the reformer and my knee down, and my foot is just beside kind of the joint of my foot bar. Looking straight ahead, we're gonna push the carriage out into this lunge, pressing forward with the arms until we feel a stretch through the back of through the hip flexor, and then we're gonna pull it back in. Again, we're pressing out and pulling in. You could also straighten the front leg, okay, to emphasize a bit more of a stretch through the hamstring. Do that one more time, and then maybe we're gonna take it for a hold. I'm gonna keep my left leg is on the ground, so I'm gonna keep my left hand on the foot bar, lift my right arm up, and then I'm gonna bend to the side and take a couple deep breaths, and then bring it all the way in. So that is your single thigh stretch, the beginner version. Really nice way to stretch out those hip flexors. If I'm doing more of a strength workout, I might do that stretch before I do a bunch of split squats or something to warm myself up. So I hope that those are helpful. I hope that you enjoy those exercises. Let me know if you have any questions, and stay tuned for more reformer tutorials in the future. Bye.